Hey crew, welcome back. Alright, so in last tutorial we learned the basics of creating planets. We created stars, nebulas, starbursts, suns. It was great. We learned a lot of different techniques. Now we're going to talk a little bit about terrain techniques. So get your spray paints ready, get your materials, and let's rattle. Alright crew, so here's our poster board. We're ready to begin. This is a 24 by 36. It's a pretty big size. I find that if you're going to spray paint live, you're going to be outside doing this, you're going to want to go with something a little bit smaller. I use 11 by 14s. This is a poster board we get specially made for us. I know a lot of people are having a hard time finding the right type of poster board, so go to our website, take a look at this. This is what we use. It's really glossy on one side, it's matted on the other. In fact, you can see the difference in color. See, look at that. Same poster board. This one looks a little bit whiter. This one is much glossier. So this is what we're going to use. You want to paint on the glossy side. You're going to be painting outside. Like I said, if you're going to be doing this for show in an actual ongoing street performance, then you're going to want to use the smaller size. They're easier to make. You can make one real quick, sell it, move on to the next one. But for the purpose that I am going to show you guys how to take a closer look at the details, this size is perfect for us. Alright. Alright crew, so first advice, use bright colors. Bright colors gets the attention of the viewer. So if you're going to be doing this outside, street performing, you want to use bright colors. Stick to bright colors and I promise you people will come. Paint it and they will show up. So let's begin. I told you earlier this is going to be a landscape painting, but I do also want to incorporate some of the techniques that we've learned in our previous tutorial. What is that? Well, we're going to create some planets. So we're going to get some leads, some cups, different sizes. We're just going to place them throughout here. Maybe, I think this is pretty good. Remember, you can actually use the caps to your cans as well. So you can do different sizes. In some cases, you can even use the spray cans themselves. Place it down, you paint around them. And in some cases, you'll see that I've done that. So you'll see all this paint on the bottom of my spray cans. I've had people ask me that before. That's what it's from. All right. I'm going to use a little bit of black. You guys remember what I used black for when beginning? This helps you. This is a technique that will help you save spray paint. You just want to create just light layers. Now, when you're outside performing on the streets, you'll see a lot of spray painters that'll just get two different cans and they'll just go crazy, just to get a lot of different colors laid down. Those techniques are for show purposes. I mean, they attract people. You start seeing a bunch of colors, you're wondering what they're doing. In many cases, they're wondering themselves, like, okay, I bought me some time. What am I going to do now? I'm going to put some cups here and there. So it's just to buy you time. It's for showmanship. The techniques I'm going to show you in this video today is techniques for practicality. All right, we're going to remove the caps. We know where our planets are going to go. I'm just going to move those to the side. As I mentioned earlier, bright colors is the secret. Guys, bright colors will attract people to see what you are doing. So, I think I'm going to begin with maybe a little bit of green. Lime green. Standard color comes in our kit. Let's see, we're going to use some black. I'm going to spray a little bit of black on top of that. Then with the magazine sheets, now remember, magazine sheets are very useful. Let me take one here. We use them for a lot of things. One of them being textures. This allows us to create some pretty awesome looking textures. You just place it down, remove some of that black layer. You might have to do it a couple of times because, as you know, black is very overpowering. So you just remove it. You keep removing it until you get the desired texture that you're looking for. In this case, this is exactly what I'm looking for. It has a lot of action. It's got a lot of little fine details. This could be a crater. I like it. Look, this is the paint. This is what it looks like. We'll toss that off to the side. We'll take another magazine sheet because we're going to do the same to some of these planets over here. I'm going to use our orange. Now look at this. I'm going to use a little bit of orange there. I'm just going to change it up a little. I'm going to put a little bit of our lime green right there. Now for this, you can use black just like we did here. But in this case, I believe I'm going to use our dark blue. Now remember, you always want to shake and pre-spray off on the side before actually spray painting on your canvas. So I'm just going to do a little layer of blue on top of that. We're going to get our handy dandy magazine sheet. Remove some of that texture. Now look at that. You have some of the blue blending with the orange, with the green that we placed below. It creates very awesome details. Look at that. You just can't beat that. All right. So now then, let's concentrate on our last planet. I know that that stencil goes here. This one goes here. This one goes there. So what are we going to put on here? I told you to stick with bright colors. So I'm going to use maybe a little bit of, oh, you know what's a good one? Red and black. Yep. Red really comes through pretty good. So you add a little bit of red. This is your base color. Then you're going to put some black. This is your neutral. Take another magazine sheet. Just like this. You're going to put this here and remove. Now remember, you might want to do it a couple of times. That's perfect. Okay, I'm going to use our black. We have to start thinking about our sun, where our light source is going to be coming from. I like to put our light source really close to the planets. It just kind of creates a focal point, and then you can start creating your painting around it. So in this case, I might add my light source right here. Or you know what, maybe up here somewhere. Yeah, that might look pretty good, huh? It'll give us a nice even distribution of light. So if I have my light source here, notice what I do with my fingers. This is to symbolize where our light is coming from. So it's hitting this planet on this area. That means that the shadow has to be on this area. Same with these. Shadow goes here, here, and here. Something to keep in mind is very important. You see a lot of beginner spray painters out there who will add shadows in different sizes, in different places, excuse me. So you can't tell where the light source is coming from. Now, all right. Just going to put a little bit of black. Now, my paint, my spray can is a good foot, maybe almost 2 feet away from the canvas itself. The closer I get, the more concentrated the spray. I want the spray to dissipate before it hits the canvas. So it's very broad. It almost gives you this blurry effect. See, kind of like that. It goes very dark and then it just kind of dissipates. It creates this little blur. That's what I want. I'm just going to add like that. All right. When we put our stencils back, it's very important that we don't put a lot of pressure. We don't want to put our stencil down and accidentally move it because now you've scratched your paint below. You don't want to do that. So practice this. You just put it on top. You want to make sure you get some of this black area where it starts to transition. It'll create a more 3D effect. Drop it. See? In this one, I didn't put any tape, so you have to be careful. If you don't put any tape, you have the possibility of accidentally grabbing it and moving it. Even if it's just a little bit, it'll create this little white ring around the planet. I'm going to risk it. Yep, I'm going to risk it. I'm brave that way. What can I say? All right, we'll just drop it. See that? You don't want to drop it too far either, because if you drop it too far, it's going to hit and then move. I know. There's no winning. There is a winning. You just have to pay a little bit of close attention to what you're doing, huh? Put a little bit of like that. I want to make sure I get some of this dark. It's important that I get some of this dark, as it'll create a nice 3D effect. I want to keep that little, kind of looks like a little crater to me. So we're just going to... okay. Now, you see, you still have some of those colors below, and that's okay. Now, what this technique does for you, like I said, it helps you minimize the amount of spray paint that you use. So rather than coloring all these random colors throughout your painting, you've managed to just do specific spots. We don't have to worry about that later on. We'll cover it with black. You guys remember what we did in the last tutorial? We created this very colorful planet. A lot of people liked it. I got a lot of wonderful emails on it. It was a combination of the texture technique and the liquify technique. Now I say a combination of, because even though it was the liquify technique, we didn't want the viewer to look at this planet and just see water. You know, we wanted them to see that it was actually a planet. So we added some shadows, you know, and a little bit of texture, and we were able to create a pretty good looking planet. So I think I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to create a more earthbound type of planet. How do you do that, Spraycasso? I am so glad you asked. We're going to use a little bit of green. Make sure you shake, pre-spray. There we go. Look at the difference. See how dark it is compared to the light. Now it is light lime green, but you still want more of the chemicals, more of the paint to hit your canvas rather than the drying agents or the gloss. So we're just going to put a little bit of green. I'm going to go with some blue here, some dark blue. Love this blue, it's so awesome. Okay, just do a little bit there, maybe there, and there. Now, I love all these colors. Now all these colors are specifically chosen by me. All these colors that we have here that comes in the kit. And I think they're more than enough for what we need to do. This light color, when you combine it with a blue, a dark blue, it gives you an effect of transitional effect. Now we know that we have light coming from this angle, right? Because this is where we're going to put our light source. Remember my fingers? So I'm going to add a little bit of this blue here so that it looks like it's transitioning into this dark blue. You see that? Okay, just like that. I almost want to add a little bit over there too. Why not? Now this is not going to show up on your planet, but you know what? It'll serve two purposes. We'll cover some of that excess paint, and when we put our dark over it, it'll work as a highlight. I'll show you that here in a little bit. So I went ahead and added a little bit of light blue on these three planets and a little bit on this top side. Let's close that. Now then, one of my other favorite techniques to do when it comes to space paintings is colorful backgrounds. You want to have, space obviously is black, right? But there's certain areas where if you find the correct spot, you'll see a lot of colors. There's a lot of nebulas. That's what I like to do in my paintings. It'll attract more people rather than just a plain black background. It adds more action to it as well. Alright, so we know light source is coming here. We're going to add some black on this area. Yeah, just like that. You know, we could actually do... No, I like it like that. I like it like that. I was going to add some texture to it, kind of smear it a little bit. But I think this will be a good planet. It'll show you what it looks like without any texture, so that you guys can better make a decision if you want to add texture or not on your planet. So we'll just go ahead and do that. I'm not going to add any texture. I'm just going to add those colors that we added. I'm going to put this right. You know what? Nope, I've changed my mind. That's the beauty about spray paint. You can always change your mind. I'm going to show you guys something. Cool little secret here. We're going to add some clouds. How do you guys feel about that? You can do this with either a piece of plastic, which I should have here somewhere, or you can do this with the magazine sheet. So we're going to do this with the magazine sheet. We're just going to put down some white. Put this here. Crumble this up. Do that. Crumble it up again. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Look at that. Okay. I'm just going to tap here, and there, and there. Very easy to do, crew. You're just going to put some white right here. Look at that. Awesome. I like it. Right, I'm going to add a little bit of clear coat. Now look at this. Just going to add a little bit of clear coat. You want to get those paints to get nice and moist. Then you can come over here and you can just add just a very gentle back and forth. It'll give you a blur. You see that? Well, we know that our planets are moving. So we just went ahead and changed our minds, added a little bit of texture. And this is another thing that I get asked a lot, you know, like, oh, Spray, do you know what you're going to be painting? Do you know? I have an idea. I usually do, guys. I have an idea what I want to do. Not always will it come out 100%, or halfway through it, just like we did today, I changed my mind, you know, say, you know what would look good? A little bit of movement. This is how you do that. Very gently, you add your texture down. You very gently just sway your fingers back and forth with a little bit of clear coat, and it'll create that nice little movement for you. So now that we have that, I'm going to add some more light blue here. Look at that. It adds a nice little tone to it. Perhaps even a little bit of white. Just from afar, I was a good, what, 2 feet? Way up here. Just nice little blend. Okay, we're going to put this back on. We want to make sure that we do get some of our black here. Now I know we're spending a little more time on this planet, but it's our bigger planet, so you want your details to be nice and intriguing. Notice, placed it down very gently. Let's concentrate on some of these colors that we have here. Alright, so what I'd like to do, this is a little bit different, but we are working on our fluorescent line of spray paint. So we're going to try it out here. We're going to see how this works. I'm going to add a little bit of pink. Kind of coming off of this planet. See that? Just like that. There's some colors here in the background. I'm going to do the same right here. Now it's okay if it overlaps some of these other colors that you have down. Now a good combination. Now, a good combination that I've noticed works really well is pink and yellow. Yep, I like to use our light yellow. We have different types of yellow here. So I like to use my light yellow. Look at that. Just gonna add that like that. A little bit here. Now notice all the combination of colors that we're getting, and because we mix some blue to it, it just adds to the effect. This could be a very colorful sky, a very colorful nebula. I'm going to add some orange here. All right. Alright, now we're going to use our black. We're going to use our black, and we're going to cover most of these areas. So we're going to add a little bit of black here. I do want to keep some of that little blue that we added earlier. You know what? I like the way those two came out, so I think I'm going to leave them. That's the beauty about spray paint. Art in general is that you can change your mind. You can add extra stuff that you didn't think you were going to add. In most cases, it tends to paint itself. Now, when you're creating these planets, it's very important that you go all the way around. All the way around. It makes them nice and circular. Otherwise, you might get some oval planets. And though I'm sure they exist out there somewhere, not today, not in my world. So that's the way I see it. This is our world. We're painting our world here. Okay, so now we have a nice little layout where our planets are. Our planets are nice and round because we went all the way around them. Can't stress that enough, guys. It's important. Now, I'm not covering all the areas either. See, I'm leaving this nice little flowy pattern here. And this could be our nebula, our colorful nebula. We're going to use some white. You guys remember how to create the star technique? Star technique is very easy to use. It's very important for creating depth in your paintings. So we're going to move this down just a little bit because I want everybody to see this. Star technique requires you to use some white. Now there's a couple of ways to do this. You can either spray a little puddle in your hands and you can just drip it down. I'll show you what that looks like. And you just drip it down. It's okay. The only thing I don't like about it is that sometimes it creates this little pattern. You see that? Because you're using your hands to distribute the paint. My preference, my favorite one is to use your can. You lay it, well, you don't lay it actually on the canvas, but you put it parallel to your canvas. And then you see the cap is facing directly upwards. Okay, we're going to turn that 45-degree angle away from our painting so that it aims this way. And then very gently you want to push and let the paint sputter. Look at that. You see all the nice little stars that show up? And then sometimes when you're sputtering you get a nice little, see, you can see where my finger was getting wet. I just throw that in there. This could be a constellation if you think about it, right? Alright, so now that we have our planets, our stars, I told you in this one we were going to talk about creating terrains. So I do want to create a terrain here, and I want this terrain to kind of put the viewer on this planet looking up. So you can create some of the textures that we've done here and just kind of add to it. How? I am glad you asked. We're going to use a magazine sheet. Yep, you heard right. This is going to be our brush for today. I'm going to place here perhaps a little bit of orange. Now what happens, guys, when you mix orange and black? You get brown. You get brown. So even though in my kit I don't have brown, you have orange and you get black. You can create the brown. We do have brown, which we will include in, individuals, but for now, orange and black. I like this better. Besides, it's good to know your color well. For if you ran out of a color while you're out there spray painting live, which I definitely recommend you guys try, spray painting live. You have to know what colors to combine to make certain effects, right? If you only have blue and white, what is that going to do? Well, you're going to be able to create light blue, right? Blue and black, dark blue. All right. Oh, look at that. Nice. Okay. I'm going to use my magazine sheet, tap a little bit. This is techniques that we use out when we are spray painting live. I'm going to add a little more orange. I want these mountains to be more orange than I want them to be brown. They'll stand out more because, look at this, because we have plenty of dark already. So I'm just going to concentrate more on the orange to create the outline of a terrain. So we're just going to do this. I'm just mirroring some of these colors down. Pretty awesome, huh? Okay. Now this is the same techniques, guys, that you're going to be doing out there when you're spray painting live. Now, the purpose of this video series is that we're going to be doing is because I've gotten a lot of questions thousands of emails, people asking me, you know, how do you do it? How did you get there? Are you spray painting full time? Guys, before this, I was an engineer. Well, I guess I'm still am. And, you know, I did work as a full-time engineer, and I wanted to always concentrate a little bit more on my art. And so as time went on and I got better and I got into shows, you know, I was in PBS for a little while and then Comcast, and I'm still on Comcast up to this date. We started manufacturing our own brand of spray paints, and you know, there's a lot of artists out there that were like, hey, you know, I want to get to that point as well. I want to do this full time. Some just want to do it for a part-time hobby, get a little extra income. There is nothing wrong with that. I definitely encourage you guys, become a member on our site. We're putting together all the plans and PDFs, and we have several books actually that are going to be very beneficial if you're interested in proceeding forward to learning the art of spray paint, becoming either a full-time professional painter or a seasonal part-time extra income type of person. Here we go. Very easy to do. Now notice I'm just adding a little bit of orange to our highlights here, and I'm just mirroring down some of these colors just like that. You smear them. It's okay that we don't have anything down here. This is our negative space, by the way. Negative space is just the canvas, the unpainted canvas. It's very important to remember that, as I will make various references throughout our show on covering up or detailing or adding to our negative canvas, our negative space, excuse me. Right, it's going to add some orange here. All right, look at this. Very easy to do. You guys are almost there. Now, I'm going to remove this because I'd like to get some of this to overlap our planet. What will that do? Well, that'll not only give us some great depth to our planet, but it'll make it more realistic. It'll add more contours. It'll add more obstacles, more terrain in the way. And people are gonna want to know how you did it. This is how you do it. Yeah, you paint over it, guys. Use your little magazine sheet and paint over it. Now, we do have tools that we've created to help you do this. And in fact, let me show you one. This is a Spraycasso tool. And it'll help you distribute the paint in the same manner that our magazine sheet did, but you have a little bit more control over it. Why? Well, because there's a handle in the process. Add a little bit of orange. There's your tool here. Tap, 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 tap. We'll add some more orange here. And it allows you to blend some of those colors together. So I'm just going to add one here and just kind of work on my terrain a little bit. And basically all I'm doing is I'm removing some of this paint, dabbing it onto our canvas. Look at that. Okay, so now we have a nice little terrain in the background. I want to create a multi-layer terrain. What's a multi-layer terrain? I am glad you asked. Well, here we go. Multi-layer terrain, guys. I'm going to use a little bit of black. You can use other colors. In fact, I will use other colors to show you the difference of what it does and how it works. I'm going to create, it's just a light mist. All right, so we're going to add some black, just a light layer of black right here. You don't want to cover your mountains completely, guys. Please don't do that. Do it here on the bottom. And just let some of that mist come up there. All right. So we're going to use once again, our orange. I'm just going to go ahead and place it on top of the other colors that we had there. And just a little bit of black. I'm going to use our handy dandy tool here. We're just going to tap into it. Tap, 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 tap. And we're going to smear some of that paint onto our canvas. So we're going to create a new terrain overlapping the old one. See that? Look at that. Now you've instantly created a new layer. See, so now you have this one in the background and it gets a little bit closer, and now we have these two. Now you can do that again. This is terrain layering. A little bit there. You know what? We can even add some yellow. I can show you how some of these highlights that we can add. So we'll mix some of our yellow and our orange to create highlights. How do you do that? Once again, you guys are on top of it. We're just going to add some right here. You don't need a whole lot. Just a little bit of yellow will create some very amazing highlights. That. Okay. And you can use the multi-layering technique as many times as you want to create different layers of terrain. So if I wanted to do another one, I'd come here and I just kind of darken this up a little bit. Use our orange. Guys, if you don't have one of my Spraycasso tools, you can use a magazine sheet. Right, so you take the little magazine sheet and you place it right here. Look at that. You just added a new terrain there. And you can keep going. You know, you can just keep adding to it, and it creates a lot of different depth to your terrain. Doesn't necessarily have to be just black. Black creates very earthbound, which is, it's nice. But you can also use other colors, very vibrant colors. You can use colors such as sky blue or light blue. So we have this right here. I'm just going to create a little bit of a mist. Notice how I let the mist kind of fall down. This, you can convert this into water if you want. In this case, I don't really want. So I'm just going to add that nice little light blue. Get our terrain colors and add a terrain overlapping some of our blue. See that? Very, very easy to do. And it creates very awesome texture. Look at that. And you can just keep going, you know. Add your terrain. You can add a little bit of dark here, a little bit of black, or as I was telling you, some light colors. So we can use some lime green if you want. Look at this. We'll just add some right here like this. We'll go over it, add a little bit of orange. Tap, 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 tap. You mix those two together, you get a nice dark brown, and you start adding it right here. Look at this. So, now you've learned a secret on how to create multi-layering of terrain. The multi-layering technique is right here. Just add some dark colors. Doesn't necessarily have to always be dark. It can be light as well. Nice little colorful areas. We'll just continue adding some more landscape here on this. All right. Now, you guys remember how to create a starburst? No? Well, great. Let me remind you, we're going to need a straight edge. Now, you can get different sizes. You can use the really long ones. For this size, Probably gonna go with this one. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's probably about 4 inches wide. That's more than enough for what we need. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create here with some of this bright yellow. Just a nice little spot here on top. Now I'm not concentrating the paint. I'm just creating a nice little yellow tone. You see that? Okay, awesome. And I'm going to use some white right here, and I'm just going to spray. Now you want to spray right there. In fact, I'm going to leave that blank so you see where I spray. Put it down. You don't want to spray directly on your can. That's a big no-no. You want to spray right about there. It'll create a nice little straight line. Notice where I sprayed. You spray here, the mist comes down onto your canvas. That's how you get those straight lines. If you spray directly on your canvas, you're going to get a mess. Don't do it. So we're just going to spray right on our spatula or straight edge or whatever you got. I'm just going to create a nice little starburst. Look at that. Now you can add several of those throughout your painting just to make it add more balance. You don't have to make them that big. You can make them smaller. There's different sizes of straight edges. There's bigger ones. So it's up to you. In this case, I like the way this looks. See, those look like distant planets off in the background. And you and I know that that's just our lids that we had there. Nobody else has to know that. This is our painting. This is our world. Let's take a look at what it looks like. We remove some of our stencils. Look at that. Beautiful, isn't it? All right, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's tutorial. As we proceed forward, I'll show you how to create masterpieces like this. We can add trees. We can add structures. We can add little people walking around. The world is yours. The trick is learning the right techniques. Keep coming back to us, guys. We'll continue to show you more and more and more how you can add more to this painting. www.spraycasso.com. We'll see you there. Keep those cans shaking, guys. Until next time.